Hello and welcome to IGPP Expert Talks. I'm Hina Goswami, editorial consultant with IGPP, Institute for Governance, Policies and Politics, New Delhi. As the revolution of AI started capturing the imagination of people, the technology of deepfake generation spelled a nightmare for many public figures. The generation of fake pictures, videos, misinformation, portraying especially women public figures in a negative light led to association of deepfakes with all that is wrong with AI. But is that really the case? To discuss this and the next wave in AI revolution, today we are joined by Mr. Naveen Sharma. Mr. Naveen Sharma is the director of Kroop AI, a pioneering startup specializing in deepfake detection and generative AI. Mr. Sharma carries a diverse industry experience of more than 24 years. He specializes in leveraging advanced AI technologies, including deepfake detection and generation, to drive growth, innovation, and security in the AI sector. He is also passionate about securing AI-driven future. Welcome to IGPP Expert Talk, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure to be here. And I'm excited to discuss the evolving landscape of AI, particularly around deepfakes and misinformation, which are becoming increasingly relevant in today's digital world. Yeah, so happy to be here.
So, before we pick up on the theme of deepfake, I wanted to talk to you about agentic AI. And we know that misinformation has plagued the whole information ecosystem and it has prompted various countermeasures. Also, AI has now fundamentally reshaped the information landscape. What are agentic AI, and with advent of this technology, in what key ways can it alter the spread and impact of misinformation?
That's correct. You see, the agentic AI has significantly amplified the spread and impact of misinformation in several ways. Unlike traditional AI, which is task specific, the agentic AI can independently take decisions. So it can adopt, it can act across multiple platforms. This makes it easier to generate and disseminate hyper realistic deepfakes and synthetic voices and AI generated text to a in a massive scale, reaching a wider audience in a much faster way. And I would say that the agentic AI can personalize misinformation. It can be tailored to individual user beliefs and biases. That is the most dangerous part of being agentic AI rather than the traditional AI, and making it more likely to be believed and shared. And that is where the real threat is. So combating this sort of misinformation requires a lot of robust, it's a combination of, I would say, the robust detection tools, regulatory frameworks, as well as the public awareness.
I must request you to explain to our audience briefly what agentic AI is and how is it separate from the previous Gen AI or previous waves of AI.
You see, the I would say the agentic AI is now is the new, I would say, the subset of Gen AI. Earlier, when the AI is evolving in the last 2 to 3 years, you must have seen various platforms and various LLMs are now available for users to create personalized contents. So now with more and more information available with the users, and the tools are getting more and more, you can create a really realistic AI content with only just text as an input. So when I say agentic AI, this can be a very powerful tool. I mean, if it is used, I would say, in a negative manner, to tarnish somebody's image, like an individual, a brand, or a politician, or a celebrity for that matter. And the type of data, if the data can be biased, see, any output of an AI engine is as good as the input. So if I am giving it as a biased input, I can get a biased output. So I can actually make an AI system create a hyper personalized content, tarnishing an individual or a brand, and making it um, a bit, I would add an emotional quotient to it, so that it becomes more and more believable to the end user. And that is where the, I would say, the threat lies. So that is what the disadvantages of agentic AI.
So, with this new wave of AI and what emerging challenges should policymakers anticipate as AI technology becomes even more sophisticated?
Yeah, as I mentioned, as AI becoming more and more sophisticated, so the policymakers should also anticipate several key challenges. And one major issue is the potential of increased job displacements, and that's probably everybody's fear is these days that people will lose a lot of jobs due to emerging of AI. So I think the next generation or the new set of people, they need to come up with new skill sets. They need new strategies, and also the workforce needs to be more and more, I would say, how would I put it, they need to be more educated towards the social safety nets. The rise of realistic deepfakes and AI generated content will make it harder to distinguish between real and fake information. you know and that will fuel the misinformation. We will also see increasing concerns about data privacy and security in the coming days, and that demands a robust regulations to protect personal information. The rise of AI generated information and deepfakes pose a threat to social stability, the democratic processes. You must have seen a lot of deepfake videos of politicians during the election times. So that all that needs to be, I think, the ethical consideration around AI bias and autonomous decision making, that will become crucial, requiring frameworks to ensure fairness and accountability.
What are the current technological approaches available to detect and mitigate the spread of AI generated misinformation? Additionally, can you please elaborate on Kroop AI's state of the art deepfake detection system and its real time capabilities in addressing the issue?
Oh, well, there are many techniques at present. They are being used to detect and mitigate the AI generated misinformation. Some of them are, for example, there are a lot of deepfake detection models which are trained to spot inconsistency in the facial expressions, the lip syncings, the audio patterns to find out whether it is a real content or a potential fake content. There are metadata analysis that can verify the authenticity of the content through tamper proof metadata tracking. And there are watermarkings and fingerprintings are there, embedding invisible markers in AI generated content to signal its origin. And also real time fact checking, I mean, before, and there are so many AI tools that cross verify claims with trusted sources to flag potential misinformation. um, at Kroop AI, we have developed a tool called Vismantis. It is a state-of-the-art defect detection solution with real-time capabilities, and it uses advanced algorithms to distinguish between real, synthetic generated, and synthetically manipulated media. So, you see, since almost a year ago or a couple of years ago, the challenge was only to find out whether it is real or fake. Now, fake even has two categories, whether it is synthetically generated or it is synthetically manipulated. As I said, there are tools available using which you can create content with only text as an input, and those contents are of real people, but they are synthetically created. So, Group AI has a tool that can actually give you a three-class solution, which distinguishes between a real, fake, and in fake, it can tell you whether it is synthetically generated or manipulated. And also recently we have launched a real-time scam call detector, which is being very well received. So in also in the audio deepfake detection, there are two categories. One is that you must have seen that people are impersonating somebody's voices and calling the relatives, trying to extract money and things like that. There is a second category, which is, it is not a AI generated voice, it is real people calling people, and they are posing as maybe law enforcement agencies officers. Like, you must have heard the term digital arrest these days. So they are not, I would say, they are not AI generated voices, they are real people, but they are calling people, and they're giving them some, legal complications will happen if you don't give your OTPs or some sensitive informations, and people get deceived with those calls, and it ending up losing some money. So we have recently we developed a tool which in a real time does all these analysis on these scammer calls and give users alerts real time during the call itself, that this can be a potential deepfake, this can be a potential potential scam call, I would say. And that's where we are trying to protect people with these sort of scammers. Yeah.
Some critics argue that deepfake detection algorithms and tools suffer from several drawbacks because they are usually trained on high resolution images. So they may fail at detecting low resolution surveillance footage or when the subject is poorly illuminated or posing in an unrecognized way. Do you think that the latest deepfake technologies are ready to detect such content?
Yes, in one way, it's correct that the traditional deepfake solutions or algorithms have their own limitations. When dealing with low resolution or poorly illuminated footages like CCTV footages, or because they are predominantly trained on high quality images, because that was the kind of bias that most of the deep fakes, whenever they'll happen, they'll be of high quality. So if any sort of tempering is done on a I would say surveillance footage which was used as an evidence for a crime, some of the traditional deep fake detectors used to find it difficult. But the latest new solutions are using multimodal analysis. They are combining visuals, audios, and even behavioral cues, and they are now trained on diverse and real world data sets, making them more resilient to variations in resolutions, lighting, and pose. We had a similar case recently where a cybersecurity a firm, they wanted us to work on extremely dim light images, and there were a lot of blurred images. So what we did was we created a huge data sets of in-house low quality images for training. So as I mentioned, the quality of any AI engine is the output quality is as good as the input. So the and it's like it's a constant war between virus and antivirus. So any deepfake detector cannot say that I am kind of fully functional and I can cover all the use cases. These scammers and all, they'll keep on coming up with new and new ideas to con people, and that's where the deepfake detector also needs to be constantly updated, and it needs to give a regular updates and regular like patches to its previous solutions to keep up with the this thing. So we have a solution which is working pretty well on very low quality images, very low resolution images, and also very images taken in a very low lighting conditions. We can give a very good results with that as well. So the technology needs to be constantly keep on updating with that. Yeah.
I do feel that scammers are one of the most technologically advanced, sociologically, psychologically advanced people,
Yeah.
and I wish their energies were put to some good use.
True.
Um, Another, very widely discussed countermeasure is that of watermarking AI-generated content to enhance transparency. Do you
Yeah.
think that would be a viable solution for curbing misinformation, and what would be the potential limitation and challenges associated with it?
Yeah, as I mentioned, watermarking is a technique which is already in practice to tag AI generated content, and it is definitely a step in the right direction to enhance transparency. By embedding invisible or visible markers, platforms can label synthetic media, making it easier to identify and flag AI generated content. This can help curb misinformation, especially on social media where content spreads rapidly. But having said that, watermarking has its own limitations as well. It relies heavily on industry wide adoption, which is still inconsistent. I mean, there are some broadcasters who have recently made it mandatory to have a watermarking for an AI generated content before they publish any sort of content on their platforms. But again, it is something which is not adopted by all the the media partners or the platforms. And another challenge is that all not all synthetical content is potentially harmful. I mean, there are a lot of ethical use of generative AI or the AI generated content is there. I mean, there are tools which can help people uh, creating very authentic marketing content, and there are a lot of companies who are using AI to create marketing contents. They are using AI for mass communication. So people can clone their own CXOs and then send personalized messages to thousands of employees. So uh, these are all ethical use which are done with the consent of the the person for which this AI content is being made. So I would say the over reliance on mere watermarking could lead to unnecessary distrust of harmless content. You know, so watermarking is a useful tool, but it needs to be part of a larger framework. Combining it with other defect detection tools and making it more comprehensive and as a package will actually have a reliable defense against misinformation.
Social media platforms are often seen as gatekeepers turned enablers of AI-driven misinformation, given their role in content distribution. Where do you believe the gap lies preventing effective containment of this issue? And I honestly feel that social media has kind of given up on curbing misinformation. Why does the tide keep rising? And what proactive steps should the platforms take to ensure that they are not merely putting out fires, but addressing the root issue of this growing challenge? Root cause.
uh, uh, that's a very good question, and it's a very interesting question in the current situation. See, it really highlights the complex role social media platforms play in the spread of AI driven misinformation. While they're indeed the gatekeepers of content distribution, but sometimes they increasingly become enablers. And often, I would rather say often unintentionally, due to the gaps in their detection and moderation systems. Uh, One major gap is the reactive nature of their approach. So, platform often they rely on the flagging and takedown systems that kick in after harmful content has already gone viral. But I would say by the time the damage is already done, now all you can do is a damage control. Another challenge is that the lack of standardized detection protocols. uh, as I said, some platforms invest in defect detection, but other rely on really outdated and inconsistent moderation policies. So these create a fragmented defense in current scenarios, making it easy for any AI driven misinformation to slip through the cracks. And additionally, as generative models are becoming more and more sophisticated, the lines between authentic and manipulated content is getting blurred with each passing day. So making it harder to for any traditional detection methods to keep up. So as far as the tide of misinformation continues to rise, it is largely because the AI content is becoming more accessible. A few years ago, you need to be really technically sound to have or technically sophisticated tools to create high quality deepfake content. But nowadays, even individuals with limited technical skills can create highly convincing fake media. And combining that with rapid spread of social media platforms, you have a perfect recipe for large scale misinformation. you know so to address that, probably social media platforms need to be more proactive, and they need to have, as I said, it cannot be just one proactive measures. There can be a series of proactive measures. One of them can be, enabling a real-time defect detection. As I mentioned, that Kroop AI has one of them. So any such solution which gives a real-time flag whether a content can be a potential defect, that is one of the uh, approaches that social media platforms can take. Then even I would say enhancing traceability with content authentication. Government of India is coming up with draft AI policies for deepfakes and also for generative AI, where I think not only the content creator but also the platforms on which the content is being circulated will be held equally responsible for spreading any misinformation. So I think they need to be more proactive on that, and also promoting digital literacy. These days you must have seen that there is a audio message coming before, I mean, as a ringtone, that if you get a call from an individual person, that can be a potential scammer. So don't believe that. At least do a fine check before you start reacting to that. So these sort of more and more, I would say, public digital literacy is also required. So, and also they need to collaborate with industry standards. There needs to be one unified standard where the government, the social medias, the AI deepfake detector companies, they need to come up all together to come up with a framework that can create a overall infrastructure that will help people to combat such challenges.
I'm really skeptical about the effectiveness of that audio message that rings when you're calling somebody, because I'm left wondering whether the bell is ringing or not, or is the bell gonna ring after the message?
It
Like,
is, I'll tell you, it is basically what they've done is that if you, for example, you're trying to make a call again and again to the same number, then that message itself is a ringtone for the other person. But when
okay,
you're calling it for the first time, the first 15 seconds is just the message for you. The ball, I mean, the bell is not ringing for the other person. And sometimes it gets a little irritation as well, because
yeah,
you are in a hurry, you want to have a quick call to somebody, and then you have to wait for another 20 seconds just to listen to that message. So and there's no way you can disable it.
any other policy recommendations to deal with deepfakes and misinformation? Because though they have real life consequences,
Yeah.
regulatory responses are often reactive and often after the damage has already been done.
Yeah, yeah. So this is, I think, what we have discussed so far. This is just a conclusion of that. That yes, the responses of AI driven misinformation has largely been reactive as of now. You know, so they are all often trying to run after, after the damage is done. So to effectively address, we need to combine proactive policies, the industry collaboration, and enforcement mechanisms. Making just policy will not help. You have to actually enforce it. I mean, I've been hearing since almost a couple of years that a policy draft is ready. It's coming, but it's taking its own sweet time. So standardization, content authentication is very much important. It should be the policy priority. The governments and regulatory bodies should mandate the use of watermarking, or even, I would say, the cryptographic signatures for AI generated content. That would make it easier to verify the authenticity of media and track the source of this information. And also, secondly, establishing liability frameworks. I have not heard anybody getting penalized for creating some content and making it public. I mean, it's essential that platforms that distribute AI generated content needs to be held accountable, and some maybe fines or penalties to repeated failures to contain misinformation could probably it will make more and more people responsible towards such practices. And as I said, international cooperation is also key. Misinformation doesn't recognize borders, and it's all global. So we need to take help from international standards, which are some of countries are already taking care of these initiatives, so we can take leverage of that. And as I said, finally, continuously oversight and adaptability is crucial. uh, AI will keep on evolving, and it is evolving rapidly. So must be the regulations. You cannot say that whatever I have discussed today, that's it. I mean, this is the regulations forever. It needs to keep on evolving with the new use cases and other things are happening so fast. So I mean, the government bodies should collaborate with companies, AI companies, with researchers, with cybersecurity experts, and keep on having this all the regulations in check. So I think ultimately all these tackling AI driven misinformation requires a multi pronged approach. Strong regulations, then you have technology enforcement, industry accountability, collaborations, public awareness. Only by addressing all these issues together we can effectively contain its real world consequences, I would say.
I was going through the news where Zara or H&M, one of these fast fashion companies, has come with digital twin of their models. What
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of technological category would that fall in? Would it be a deepfake? Would it be agentic AI?
See, it can be a combination of, I can say it's a combination of both. But again, when any, I mean, even Mintra has done that for one of their brand ambassadors. Any company, when they are doing it with the consent of the brand ambassador. So even if it is agentic AI, that still falls in the ethical use of AI. So nowadays, what is happening is all these companies, what they are doing is when they are having their contracts with any brand ambassador, they are mentioning a term called we are also we can use your digital clones, and that is kind of, it's a win-win situation for both. uh, for for the company, how it is helping them, if they want to have a new ad shoot with the same brand ambassador, sometimes they're running after him to get his dates, his schedules, and it's finding it difficult. And they have some particular campaign for, let's say, a particular holiday season, right? So what they have done is they have made a clone, right? And now with that, they have created a AI avatar of that brand ambassador. And now with only text as an input, you can actually create a script, you can create a video with proper lip sync of that digital, it's like a digital avatar of that particular celebrity. And this is done with the consent. So celebrity is getting paid for not even gone there for the shoot. Maybe he's getting 30% of what he would have got if he got there personally. And the brand is not really worried about the actor's schedule and other things. So it is kind of helping. But I'm saying it again, this falls in a ethical AI. This is done purely with the consent, and all the companies, whoever they are doing it, they are doing it responsibly.
Thank you so much for joining us